Ready for a cost-effective, successfully proven innovation in pain relief? You need wait no longer. Introducing the Keshe Pain Pad. Using plasma technology, which is based on magnetic gravitational field interaction, the Keshe Pain Pad emits plasma fields that penetrate up to 3 centimeters below the skin, helping to bring the body back to balance. The Keshe Pain Pad offers a natural way to relieve acute and chronic pain for both young and old. All you have to do is apply the pad on affected areas for 1 or 2 hours once or twice a day. It's made with adaptive elastics that can form organically and comfortably to the contours of your body. It has no moving parts or batteries. It's lightweight, durable, easy to wear, and easy to remove. The Keshe Pain Pad successfully reduces muscular pain, tendinitis, wrist pain, carpal tunnel syndrome, back pain, pain from sprains and strains, and knee pain, just to name a few. For a full list of relievable pains, consult the owner's manual or go to our website at www.keshefoundation.org. The Keshe Pain Pad, a cost-effective, successfully proven, natural way to relieve your pain.
It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent His messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the messenger, not to oppose, but by them understanding through those who have become messiahs to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are a clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of a president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look to our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand, to be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle, which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Welcome, everyone, to the 43rd One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace. It's Tuesday, June 19th, 2018. My name's Rick Cram, and I'll be your host today. And as usual, we'll be joined with Caroline Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And if we're really lucky, we might have Mr. Keshe here as well. There's a rumor he might be in the background. And we have some interesting developments today on the world scene and behind the scenes that I'm sure we'll elaborate on as we get into today's workshop. So, are you ready to go, Caroline? Hello?
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Yes, we're going to be very busy today. And yes, we have Mr. Keshe around. So depending on the time, I think he will share some new insights or knowledge, or maybe be able to answer some pranging questions, as we say. It all depends. We see what comes. I hope your coffee and tea is ready, nice and warm. I do apologize. My voice is not 100% yet, but it's better. So, Rick, what do you have on news?
Well, as was mentioned before the broadcast, the big news is, of course, if you've heard it, which is that Mr. Trump of the United States has announced the Space Force, what's called a Space Force, and that he claims that the U.S. must have supremacy in space, and we must have American dominance in space, and so on. And this seems to be a new program where it looks like a lot of money will be put into it to promote space, but also make space into a space, to militarize space, basically. So this is some big news, and it may not be the best news, but maybe it's good news. It's really hard to tell when it comes from President Trump. It seems sometimes the good news turns into bad news, and the bad news turns into good news. So I'm not really sure myself, but it is.
What is the good news? What is the good news, Rick?
Well, the good news is the attention is on space, and there is an acknowledgement that there's like a rejuvenation or an attention back on space, because in the last decades there hasn't been a lot of progress, at least especially from the US side of things, until Elon Musk and some other private companies have gotten involved and kind of gotten some of the emotion back into that space race kind of idea. So in that sense, if you want to be putting money into technology to go to space and for all of that business, and there will be lots of business involved with it, then you would probably be happy. But for those of us who want to go to space and don't want weapons to be in space, then it may be a bit of an issue to have to deal with that. I don't know. What do we need?
I think, Rick, we already have the two answers on the two topics you just brought up. Do you remember what Mr. Keshe shared about that? If we go to the first one.
What in particular are you thinking of?
The first one, you said about putting weapons into space.
Mm-hmm.
How far are they going to go, according to Mr. Keshe's explanation and teachings? what is space? How far is space? Because there is a big difference on the height of the satellite, or which space is he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It defines where is space, what is space. Because if you can't go beyond the border of this planet, then yeah, you still are in space, you're floating, but would you like to have, or any of the population of the world, having that sitting on top of your head? I don't think so. So I think that Flint's wish will bring some answers in the near future about that, because we are even reaching on that level. Then the second one, why did they all stop and only a few have carried on? Or why has NASA passed the responsibility and let others to do all the spending regarding the space? Because as Mr. Keshe has repeated 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 times in the teachings, it's obsolete. Rocket fuel is no longer there to do so. So they're spending a lot of money instead of spending it in knowledge which can support. They still can go to space, but in a totally different way, which we all have started seeing emerging in last Thursday presentation of Mr. Keshe. It starts rolling in a totally different way. So what is what and what is where? As usually, I'm always asking you to ask the question, what is space? Mr. Keshe speaks about a totally different space, which is beyond. And if you have noticed, there is a lot of documentation on NASA personnel, which are actually declaring to where and how far what they have achieved. So we're still talking about the same space. What Mr. Keshe is speaking about is beyond the planet in real space. It's a big difference. And as Mr. Keshe always says, the hyperactive children always talk very busy. Anything else you have picked up in the latest days?
Mr. Trump also mentions going to Mars and so on as well. And he says that the rockets are for rich people. And he says he's glad that there's wealthy U.S. entrepreneurs who are going to perhaps beat NASA to Mars. He says, you just go ahead. If you beat us to Mars, we'll be very happy and you'll be even more famous. As long as it's an American rich person, that's good. Okay, they can beat us. We'll save a little money and they can beat us, and we're taking full credit for it. Don't worry about it. So it's all okay as long as there's rich Americans paying for it, and they're working and they're shooting rockets off, because that's what rich Americans like to do, apparently. So everything's okay as long as they're just using rockets and fireworks and all that kind of thing. And it's basically a smoke and mirror show. Lots of smoke, heavy on the smoke. But anyway, it's kind of funny that the way it's going. It seems like to Mr. Trump, it's all about the money. If he can save a few dollars and take the credit, then he'll go for it. So, the secret to world peace is to just make it cheaper than World War. And we haven't made, it's just they make too much money off the war part. So once that sort of the profits are taken out in some manner, it's a no-brainer that as soon as that break-even point comes across for peace, it'll be, peace is cheaper, let's go for it. I think that's the way to his heart. The way for peace through the pocketbook.
So shall we go to a level of, you know, in a different level of working with, we all have been coming to understand the topic about making wishes, yeah? Why they work, how to assemble them. We have gone into a more inspiring way how to work with wishes, which I would like to share with our public today. Knowledge seekers, public, core team, universal councils, Earth Council, support member councils, which are more than welcome to come and join. Just sign up. Please come through the education site. It makes it much more pleasure for you to be able to share, to learn, and know where to find and come in touch with the Universal Council and the Earth Council and the core team, because we're going to start having our meetings once a month on a fixed base, that everybody knows that day is our meeting time. So register, you're more than welcome. If you are a native council member and you see that there is a vacancy in your language, don't hesitate to apply. Look into what we are working, look into the Universal Council Charter, go through our website. You will follow your soul, or your soul will follow your heart. We'll see where and who meets where. You're more than welcome, because we got a lot of work to do. The point about working through wishes is going to be taken to a higher level, because the questions came in sequence and the answer is very simple. Why writing a wish down if you can be the wish? Why trying to work it out and hesitate if you got a wish? Why not just carry? Why not calling up on all the souls to support your soul in giving for that wish you want to give? We have spent a lot of time trying to get people to use and trust the word wish, knowing what a wish is. But a wish is in so much a pocket of magnetical field strength which you are creating with your intent to give. So you don't need no writing, you don't need no sharing, you don't need nothing in letter or asking verbally, because you carry the strength of the soul to be that wish. And if you're that wish, then it's already done. And if you're hesitating that you might not be powerful enough, maybe just at the beginning, maybe just the first few times, but write them down for you towards your soul and see where you will feel and sense where your wish starts taking shape, without making requests of, I want to see a sign, or I want to. Don't put no conditions on what you wish. You have the beauty and the strength to place any kind of wish. If it's for your child, if it's for a sick person, if it's for all the hyperactive children, doesn't matter where they're hiding, you will reach them. The funny thing is that if you have understood through the teaching of Mr. Keshe how a soul gets born, no matter where on this planet, it comes through the man and the female, the sperm and the egg, and through their division and their accumulating of their energy field strength to a certain height, that is exactly to that height that they can receive the energy from the whole universe. So the soul takes place. And it has everything from everywhere. Why trying to, through thinking or through writing or through speaking, hesitating that you cannot complete a wish? It is in its simple form, be the wish. You speak it, you request, and it's done. You only have to give it the purpose for it to serve. And even if it takes time, it means there are a lot of souls working in that direction, which will come and add to your field strength. And everyone who's working with the star formation or anything with the plasma fields, you will understand that you need to create the dynamic. You need to create that pulse. You are the giver. You, from your gift in combination with your physical part and the way you are combining it into going for a purpose to serve, that's your dynamic. So you create the energy. We don't need to wait to come today to be together to make a wish and then see it appearing in a few weeks' time or in a few months' time. Each one of you, as a knowledge seeker, can achieve what we all have achieved together. You just change the way of writing it down or trying to work it out and lose a lot of time than just being the wish, which is so simple. Does anybody have any questions in that matter, please?
Okay, I'll remind the attendees here in the Zoom chat that they can put their hand up and we can allow you to speak. Otherwise, the panelists, you can open your microphone in order to speak here. And if there's any other questions on our social media and the live stream or whatever, then people
if
can
there
ask.
are no questions, if there are no questions popping up, Rick, maybe people can share their experience through the way of being the wish. Because I think a lot of knowledge seekers have started working with what they want to give, where they want to give. So I think quite a few knowledge seekers must already have quite some experience that they say, wow, we had a lot of sharings up till now. In different sessions, people come up and say, wow, I had this and I had this and this changed. So it would be nice for people to come and share it. Or do we need more time for people to warm up?
Yes, it's pretty early in the game here. Early in the game, you might say.
I like the way you say.
I put something in our chat there, Rick, for you to read. I think it's pretty appropriate.
Thank you, Vince.
Yeah, find that here. Okay, so a statement from Michael, looks like, in Facebook. Goes like this: we need to give guidance in how to find that path. Also, humans need to find out what they want before they can start making wishes. The moment you start creating, it is absolutely important to have a vision and a plan for where they want to go and what they need from the universe. Okay, what do you think about that, Caroline?
It's correct, isn't it? Exactly like Mr. Keshe explained. When you're working, you need to know the purpose for what you're building it for, so that it can serve the purpose. But I know with the reactors and magravs and all the others, which is in the matter state, it is quite a long journey. You need to get the material, that's a different path when you work through the soul. Because when you work through the soul, it is your emotion and your feeling which you will go faster towards where you want to go with your intent, which means the purpose of your wish. But I don't think we need to go and do the same shopping as with buying material and be able to build a magrav or a star formation type of thing. I think that a wish in its simplicity is be the wish. Be that feeling towards where you want it to go. I think those are the main important things. What you need, you don't need to concern because you're given freely. It's just a matter of asking for it. If you never ask, how can I give? How can you receive if you don't request? And asking is a very natural thing because you are on a different strength and the universe is from a different strength. So we have learned from Mr. Keshe that it always gives towards the lower field strength for then it to appear in the matter state. It's just paying attention for what it serves. Your beauty is sufficient enough to create that wish. Your field strength is as equal as all the other souls. So why hesitate? Why not be that wish in its full simplicity? Why making it so complicated as we are used to in the matter state, if you know that you got to actually reverse the whole process of the understanding that you cannot have nothing in matter if you haven't created it on soul level. A lot of people don't stand still that a painting cannot be painted unless you have gone through the whole journey of the same as a magrav or the same as a star formation, no matter what, or a chair, or anything that appears that you can touch. It has to go through a process of the idea, the feeling, the imagination, what you want from it, for then to take it in its full display in the matter state. So we are thinking, or have been thinking, whatever we call it, the other way around. We have to switch it. It's not the matter state, it's first the wish. Wish is the energy you are accumulating for it to appear somewhere. That's why I said, be the wish. And then it already starts the process. And you don't need to worry because from all the field strengths which are hanging in the same plasma field strength as yours, they just come together because they are working like magnets, as Rick showed before. On the table, one magnet moves all the others. They reposition themselves because you are changing the field strength. This is the same with you. When do you decide not to work first in the matter state, but first to go into the soul, which is in the field strength? That's where your strength is coming from. And then it can appear where what you have worked on. It has received the field strength for it to come into appearance somewhere. We are all working with the logic that, oh, you know, I work, I get my wages, I go and buy, and that's not the way things are appearing. The real things, we are just consumers of something which we are continuously creating. Because if you stand still and you have a look around in your house, just even from where you are, let's say you're totally on your own, you have decided that chair, that painting, that color of wall, anything which you see, your shoes, your shampoo, your combs, your soap, anything, it's your choice. So you first have chosen it before you got it. That's the same working with your soul. Your soul works and can first work before you're going to see it. When you are the choice, when you are the decision maker, but from the point of understanding that it's on soul level, you can travel anything. You can let everything to come into matter state to appear somewhere. The beauty is that it doesn't work the other way. And if we can relieve that kind of confusion, that when we sit, you don't need to think, but maybe you might start thinking before you start to make sure, as the gentleman said, that you go the direction you want. But calling upon, you are free, you are given freely. Because your soul would have not appeared if that egg and that sperm were not in that position to start the whole process. For it to go in that high amount of field strength, for then to receive the soul. So it's always starting first from the energy before it can appear in a matter state. We are so used into go and do and take and touch that we don't stand still. What if we don't move? And what if we just create and then see? And those are the little details I'm start asking, because we already had quite a few feedbacks, how children change, how people which are very sick in very strange conditions, they just reverse the process. And they're only been working through the soul level. That's why I wanted to bring this topic up today. Do you have any information to share where you have started working through the soul? And also guidance of what you think and how you can achieve. Because sharing is a beautiful part in the Keshe Foundation, because your input sparks somebody else off to look at it from a different way. Anybody wants to share anything? Or maybe somebody has picked up somewhere something which is happening, which we are not aware of. And maybe we can link it to one of our wishes, which we already did.
Actually, there is one situation in the world which seems to be getting resolved. That is a good news, and as far as world peace goes, and it's sort of been obscured and covered up in the news and media. and that is that there's been a peace in Afghanistan with the Taliban and the local government. They've gotten together and decided they've had 3 days of peace and extended that into a 10-day peace. And they're actually celebrating in the streets together without conflict and throughout Afghanistan during this holiday for the Muslim holiday. And but then they had a suicide bomber that disturbed the process and killed a couple of dozen people actually on the very day that they started the peace process. So that was very disturbing, but at the same, and that was the news that made most of the news outlets. And they sort of said as an aside, they mentioned this it was actually a breakthrough, and this ceasefire was something that was, they couldn't even envision it a few years ago, or even a couple of years ago. It wasn't even conceived that the Taliban and the government, especially, they also have the approval of the U.S. One of the head negotiators for the U.S. is also involved in this process. So suddenly they seem to be all getting along there, whereas that didn't seem to be possible shortly before. So it's interesting how that, again, it's like a sudden transition that's taken place. And it's kind of hard to believe sometimes that that kind of thing can happen so quickly. But yet we've seen that in, for example, Togo and other places that have had peace breaking out rather than war breaking out. So I think that's very encouraging.
That is absolutely amazing, beautiful. And then we have another one. And that is, do you remember all how many times we have worked on Yemen? The doors have opened up, at least one door has opened up. And they cannot get in fast enough with food and medical supply. They are just storming in because finally a door has opened up. I hope people will keep an eye on it and don't let the strength to go down on that intent, because I was just amazed. I just saw them going in, truckloads, offloading, people happy. I said, we did it. Has anybody else received or noticed more news about Yemen, please?
The last I heard is the Saudis were going to block the port and do more bombing and so on. So I'm glad to hear that that got resolved, or somehow the aid is getting through. So that's good. Is there any other information about that anyone has to share? Hint, hint. Oh, it's a tough audience today, Caroline.
Oh, don't worry, Rick. They will warm up. We just give them time. We have enough to share. Anybody from the council is present to share something?
I think Peggy has something to say.
Carolina, I just wanted to say that yes, I had seen something also about the aid finally getting through, at least starting, and I'm so thankful and grateful to hear that you saw a even better clip with the people, because that's what the vision was I was holding, was those, what they call deuce and a halfs, those very, very big pickup trucks kind of things, those big military trucks, just full of aid and people coming to their service, getting through. And so it almost sounds like you actually saw something in physicality that I had placed my intention and vision after I first, seen that aid was getting through. So that just is a reinforcement that all of our wishes, as we compile our wishes, they are being handled we are making a difference. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Yes, I've seen the big trucks going in because it was on BBC. I posted it out. I think the program was still running. I was so shocked and so surprised, but I thought I shouldn't be because we've been working on it for such a long time. I'm so happy, and I straight away posted wherever I could. I said, Yemen has opened up. I said, especially for that purpose, to get more knowledge seekers to work towards that they keep them open. And also the encouragement came in it was a short, don't ask me, not even the time, it's the time when
Hello? Oh, I think we lost Caroline briefly there. Can't hear you, Caroline. I don't think it's just me locally. I believe that we've had a disconnect there.
Yeah, no, I can't hear her either.
Okay, bear with us for a minute while we reconnect with Caroline. Maybe it's a good time to play a short video, I'm wondering. I don't have one lined up myself here, but perhaps there'll be enough time.
Hint, nudge, nudge, Rick.
Yeah.
Glitch in the ditch, as we say.
Hello, Caroline.
I didn't even get it.
we lost your connection there briefly, Caroline.
Yeah, as we say, we get the glitch in the ditch. No problem. You hear me better now?
Yes, very loud and clear, no problem. So,
okay, sometimes they just kick my butt. Yeah, the time when I posted it, that was the time it came in the news, and I saw trucks getting offloaded. They were not small. And also was mentioned that all the teams, which I don't know, UNICEF, United Nations, whoever was concerned about Yemen, they were charging to go in full blast to support as much as they could in the time frame for the period is going to be able to stay open. The reason why I straight away posted it out was to collect the energy field from all the ones which are going to say yes. And remember that this was part of our wishes so that we can keep it open. And you're correct, it is working. We get confirmation, but we got to hold on to make sure that we stay in the wish. We are the wish. We don't let it slip out of our hands. So whoever is closer because of the emotion, because it's your country, or it's your native language, or you've been born there, or you have family there, that's your strength and field that you can be that wish. That's your strength. That's why I said that you can only be a Universal Council member if you're born in that language. Why? Because you are eating through your food, you absorb a certain field strength. Because of your positioning on this planet, you are in a certain different field strength. Let's say if you would be in North America, or you would be in Thailand or in Europe, the fields are different. So that's why you always want to go to that, what you have tasted as a child. Those memories are so clear. You go for certain smells, for certain perfumes, for certain dress code, for certain way of talking to one another, certain slangs you use, certain jokes. That is all coming from the field strength which you are all the time being embedded in. You came from there. That's why if you're a Universal Council member, that's why you can sense and work so much faster, because you are already that field strength. If you understand that, that's why you can connect so much easier to where you direct your field strength. But at the same time, if each one, doesn't matter where you are, work for world peace in your field strength, then you collect up on the souls of all their field strengths which are going in that direction. It's like you're all going on board of the same ship, going in the same direction. But if you're going for individual or more stronger points, you can and be that much stronger because you got the field strength. That's why when we read in different languages, like the Constitution or the Universal Council Charter, if it is in your native language, the knowledge which sits in there reaches you so much easier than when you have to start translating it and it gets lost in translation. Why? Because it's not adding up to your field strength. It's different. That's why it's so important that if you're from a certain part, you are the wish because you know you're native to that wish. That means simply that word native, because you're from that field strength. So you're the strongest from the point where you are, and that's why you can reach whoever is scattered around the world from your point of native. If it's language, culture, taste, food, you have that connection. There was a teaching about that when Mr. Keshe was in communication with Rui in public, where he explained that as a Universal Council member, when you connect to the Earth Council member and then even go one step higher to the core team, you can work so much faster because of your positioning, your connection in field strength. It just gets added up. But each knowledge seeker now have to also reposition yourself in the understanding you're the Keshe Foundation. You're from that family. You're from the family of exploring knowledge. You have charged yourself up with so much field strength. You know the direction you're going. And if you're applying in the full understanding of whatever understanding you have come to this point of the ethos, and you try to position yourself every day in that ethos, then you can imagine what field strength the Keshe Foundation is literally beaming out. And then on top of that, if you know with what you have created and you have positioned it because you have flooded into the rivers, you have given it to so many people, you have taught so many people, and you're part of that family, my God, do you acknowledge your strength? That's why I said, now be that wish, because you have the strength, because now maybe you start looking from where your connections are. It's like the same position is your family. They always say blood is thicker and cannot be broken. Doesn't matter how bad it goes in a family, you always will stand up for your child or your mother or your father or the ones which are so close to you. The Keshe Foundation is the same way. You stand up for the knowledge. You stand up for what you can give, the change it can bring. That's why you have become so strong. And if you want to really know how fast it's going, the video has been released in Malta. We published it everywhere. It's the exact version of Giovanni, but translated in Maltese. Go and have a look how many people have gone to view it. And that's only in Malta. People want to know. People are getting touched by people's lives and how they've been changed, because majority of the population wants to see that beauty. It's, as I said before, with horse whisper, there is a good seed in everyone, because that seed is your soul. Doesn't matter how you camouflage it, the seed within you is your beauty, and nobody can taint it. Because if you work and you understand that that beauty is within it, you can pull it out. It's just a matter of finding the path for that to show its beauty. But if you stimulate it, and that's why I said, be the wish, then you will see the beauty coming. Like with Yemen, like with Togo, like with stopping the war games from a president's mouth. If you understand that you're part of this big family because of the knowledge, we are all different in language, we are all different in culture, we cannot be a bigger blend of one family. Now, if you're that wish within that family to go for one target, and you are that wish, then you will see changes coming onto a bigger scale much faster. Don't hesitate. You can, Mr. Keshe said. Don't hesitate. Look from the position where you are, you can work with it. You can shine like anything you wish. Somebody wants to ask a question or share knowledge?
Carolina, it's Peggy.
Hi, Peggy.
I just wanted to add in that when you were bringing forth about we know our area and we are families, and so our wishes in that area may be a bit stronger. I just wanted to bring forth that that makes total sense, but don't forget that, like for me, in my situation where I am on the globe, I've been holding the light for the human traffickers and the situations that are going deeply here. And I've been holding that for a long time. But with the elevation of the foundation and our Keshe family, things have started to really move in a big way. And it's spreading throughout our nation now, as far as getting people on top of it. And like the situation with Yemen. Now, I was not, I'm not Yemenis. I've never been to the continent even. But yet I held that light as well. So you can hold both. And I always say that anything I wish, if I wish it for one, I wish for all. Because while we're holding, we don't want to be exclusive to other areas. We want to share. So that, yes, we have the field strength or the connection stronger in one area, but they need to be shared. And I just thought that I would add that, and you could correct me how I needed to be corrected if there was any.
No, you're perfectly head on. Correct. But it's, for some people, it's a starting point, huh? And a lot of people don't know how to acknowledge their own strength and they can work with it. And if we can kickstart that process of understanding, then there will be no so much hesitation. How do I work with my... listen, I had the same questions. At the very, very beginning, when Mr. Keshe started teaching about gift from your soul, especially with the red circle, I said to Mehran, but how can you do this? You don't feel good. How can you generate? You know, and I think this is something that can be discussed, because I think a lot of people are hesitating. You know, they feel so appalled to something that they really, you know, it makes them sick even thinking, let alone wishing for it. But that's where the beauty sits, through the process of the soul teaching and the council and the charter and the constitution. And on top of that, the completion of the, I forgot the name now. The commandments. If you go and you open those up, or you go back into the teachings before, something triggers you where you can put yourself above that. Because it's against our nature when we are repelling something. How can you give from your soul? How does that work? I see a lot of question marks with a lot of people, but it's getting better. It's getting a lot better, because if you walk through the steps, if you don't understand and you really have that question towards yourself, you know, I have an enemy. We call them an enemy. We have somebody we are so angry about, you know. The simple way is to vision them the way you want them to see. That's where you are already igniting that point of change. So you do not relate nothing to how it repels you, how it has hurted you, how it frustrated you, how you hated it, whatever word you're going to plaster on it. You can recall that by simply taking that picture of that person which is really in that state towards you, and then see him completely behaving different. You know, when they're always angry, you vision that they have a smile on their face. You vision them that they are doing something good for somebody else. You vision it. That's, you are that wish then, that moment. That's where the change starts. Because you have added so much from, because you take the time, you take the effort to see him walking in a different condition. You see him talking and doing something positive. That's already where you bring the change. So you never have to question your own feelings, because they just simply disappear. It's a process of understanding. That's where you get, you know, Mr. Keshe calls it enlightened, because then that's where you can find that door or the window where you can say, finally, now I know how to do it. Or at least I'm going to try and see if it works. Because it's very difficult, even when you look among children, when they're cat and dog or really opposite towards one another, you never deal with the anger. You don't deal with the frustration. You just go above and say, I'm going to see you laughing and walking and being a friend with me from now on. And when the child makes that change to portray that in a different situation, the changes already come. That's the wish. That's when you are that wish. Because you took the position, you took the time and the effort to pay attention to it. And then the attention is in what shape are you pouring it in for it to move in your vision the way you want. And if it's positive, it will just go. Never try, please, to make it worse, because it's going to backfire on you 10 times over. And don't give up. It might take a while before you can even go above that. But try, keep on visioning. And if you can't vision it, write it down. I wish you all the best, because I see you walking. You can, because I know you're a seed and you carry the same beauty as me. And the connection, which I was trying to explain, is to come from the point of reference where you're more stronger for Dan to go into the Keshe Foundation family, to Dan to go to the level of world peace, because Mr. Keshe gave them all a very good name. You got to remember, it's not only the presidents, it's not only the kings, it's not only the religion leaders, it's not only the one party or the other party or the political party. It is every single hyperactive child you will reach. That means the one who goes out and steals, the one who goes and batters an animal, the one who slaughters an animal, the one who doesn't respect nature, who doesn't respect his parents, he doesn't respect the elderly. You reach every single one of them. That's why I said, yes, it's correct. You wish that again then for all, because then you expand the fields towards the purpose to serve. Then it doesn't matter where the fling sits or the glitch sits, you always touch all of those souls. So you don't skip none because they are the name of a president or they're the name of a king. That doesn't matter anymore. They are hyperactive in their behavior. You don't give them a title. You don't give them, and then you can go above that feeling. You don't feel comfortable when you know, let's say you have a mass murderer sitting in a prison. He's also a hyperactive child. Doesn't matter what atrocities they have done. That's where that change sits, which Nelson Mandela brought. I'll find a way that they will, by showing that you are different, it can be done. And he did it. And he did it. That's the same line of teaching of Mr. Keshe. You can go above because you don't look at the numbers or the individuals anymore. You just cover the whole, so none can escape. I explained it in the conversation with Mr. Keshe, and he said, yeah, they cannot, doesn't matter what crack or hole they have hidden, you're going to reach them. Isn't that beautiful? Knowing that none of them will be able to escape your attention and your wish.
I have a story about that sort of matches what you're saying, which is it's been my wish for a long time in terms of decades that this thing of burning fuels is to end, especially the burning of diesel fuels, which are so obnoxious. And it's been a thing for me for a long time. I was very angry about it for a period of time and learned eventually that anger only hurts me rather than doing anything good in the world, and just causes more friction and anxiety more than anything else. And over the last, especially the last couple of years or so, there's been a lot of, changes in the attitudes of people in the world and so on. And there has been changes in terms of this burning of fuels that we as humans on this planet are doing. And for me, it makes a big difference personally, because I'm highly allergic to especially diesel exhaust, because of working as a mechanic for many years and being subject to fumes on the vehicles I worked on and so on. It's made me allergic, or for whatever reason, as many people in the world are. Approximately 10% of the population are highly allergic. Anyway, so when in the last couple of years, I've been less angry and more understanding of the situation, I guess you might say, and then simply giving from my soul to those who are responsible for creating the situation as it is, and attempting to connect with them, to elevate them so they understand the depth of what they're doing, and they can make the changes that will many people in the world have been doing this same sort of action, just giving to that situation for a positive result. And one thing that's just come up in the last while is some of the top people in the top automotive organizations are being arrested. And actually, they just raided the home of the chief executive of Volkswagen's subsidiary Audi. And they just arrested him, put him in jail. And he's going to be accused of fraud and cheating on diesel emissions and knowing about it and so on and so forth. This is actually really big news. This is the most major person that's been put in prison. A number of people from the Volkswagen company have been already put in prison, and they've had over 25 billion euros in fines that they've had to pay so far. And now, finally, Germany's starting to look into it. They've been sort of one of the last ones to look into this situation. And now they're looking into it very seriously and pulling out the people, trying to figure out how far back they knew about this. And it's going right up to the top of the organization. Now, it's interesting. I kind of checked out this person, this Rupert Stadler, and just interested about some of his past. And turns out he comes from this town in Bavaria. And if you look into his past, I forget the name of the town right off the tip of my tongue, but if you do look it up, you'll find out that this is the exact town that the Illuminati started from. It's right in Wikipedia. It says that this town is where the Illuminati started in such and such a date and so on. And so his hometown is where the Illuminati started, which I thought was a very sort of amazing coincidence, actually. And it also happens to be the most popular reference in the book Frankenstein, or the story of Frankenstein. This is where Frankenstein was invented, was this town. So I just thought the coincidences are pretty amazing on all that. And I think it's quite humorous at this point. Actually, I don't have any. I don't have any. You know, I'm not getting great gratification for these people being put in prison and so on. It's kind of a shame in many ways, but I'm also amazed that the way the universe works, and sometimes when we make a wish, it really does come true when we make it from our heart and with good intent to help benefit the other beings around us and of the planet and of the universe. So I think that for me personally, that's an example that has come through very clearly in the last while. And I'm totally amazed at the turnaround that has occurred in that realm, and totally hopeful for the approximately 5 million people that die every year due to the breathing of burning of fuels. That's about 30,000 people every single day that die from that. And that's not to mention the actual billions that are sickened by it. So it's a big change, and to me, it's an indication of the changes that will be occurring shortly as we move to a more compassionate society where we don't have to breathe in the fumes of the vehicle in front of you, which breathes in the fumes of the vehicle in front of you, and so on. That's what we've accepted for the last 100 years. That's normal. And it's not normal, and it's time to change. And I'm happy that that's happening in the planet. So that's my little story.
Rick?
Yes.
It's Peggy again. Just to tie in with your decades of holding your light on a particular issue, is that we're doing this and we're wishing these and we're holding these changes very closely and sending our intentions out, is not to forget to watch for the signs that your wishes are coming true. Because I find that a lot of people lose heart because they aren't actually seeing the small pieces of change that grow to be the larger pieces of change. So by people joining in with us and sharing, we can connect the little pieces so that we can see that the bigger pieces are coming. And thank you very much from me personally for holding that light, because yes, I am chemically sensitive and I am one of the ones that those such things get to. So thank you.
This is Moshik.
Hi, Moshik, go ahead.
Hi. I have a little bit to add, continuing the things that are happening in Yemen. So we are hearing there are trucks going there with aids. But let's talk a little bit about these trucks, the trucks that we have, the bigger trucks. We all have these trucks, and we can send a lot of things in it. But before we can send in our trucks with all the good wishes and all the help, we are a little bit shy about sending our trucks. It hasn't been in use, and it's a bit dirty. Some of the parts are kind of like rusty and so forth. So before we send the truck, we have to do this cleaning. Cleaning the truck, that's a difficult task, sometimes we think. But is it? So these trucks, which we have, where we have the doubts piled in, we can call it rust, We have darts in there. We can call it our, well, I'm not worthy of this. All these things are there in this truck. So before we can send this big truck to Yemen, to our friends, our family there. Yes, I'm from one part of the world. I can declare that part to be 1 square feet, 1 square kilometer, 1,000 square kilometers. So we are all families. And these are our family in Yemen. And because of our preoccupation with the truck, that's not quite in the best of shape. We are forgetting our families there, our friends there. We are preoccupied in a way with these local events of truck getting rusty, truck collecting dust. But in our home, in the inner reaches of our home, we have all kinds of good things in there. And they're not far away, they're with us. The things that we can send to our friends and family in Yemen, or for that matter, any other part of the world. So before we can do that, we have, it's not a long or a difficult job. All it requires is identifying it and saying, okay, we'll have to polish it up here, get a broom and clean it up here. Perhaps sometimes this truck has been enclosed in the garage and it's dark and we have to shine some lights here and there. But none of it is difficult to achieve. So once we put a little bit of effort, it's not much. And as we put this effort in cleaning up the truck, we discover, well, we do have a wonderful truck, which we can fill up with all kinds of things. And as we shine light, we also discover, well, things are in there in our home, which are very useful, very nice. We do feel for our family. We do feel for our friends. And as the truck gets cleaned, we get a little bit confident. We feel a little joyful. We are not grumpy about this truck looking strange. And then we get encouraged. Okay, yeah, we have a few things here. We start loading up the truck. And as we get inside our home to discover one nice thing, we pull a few of those out from inside our home, load it up on the truck. And as we go deeper into our home, we find there are more good things. So the truck gets filled up more, and soon we have a very heavily loaded truck to send to Yemen. Yeah, so it just takes a little bit of effort, but some of us are doing it, and some of us are doing it and looking at others doing even better. So there are examples around us, especially in this family of Keshe Foundation, and we can look at them and say, oh, he knows how to clean the truck, or she knows how to sweep the truck, and he knows how to brush the rust out of the truck. And we follow those examples. And soon we discover that, well, the truck actually is not going to do the job, and we have to I'll just poke fun at Rick. We have to get rid of the diesel engine and put a plasma generator in there and turn it into a spaceship and whatever. We have a lot more things in there to send at the soul level or at the higher field strength level. Anyway, that's all.
Well, that's an interesting analogy with the truck there, Moshfet. And we can hear the beeping in the background, so there's no lack of trucks, it seems, in your vicinity.
Yeah. Soon we'll be hearing that from Yemen.
I see there is somebody, Christian. Just give me a second. Christian Bottenbach says, Rick, I have a totally different view on that. I would like to discuss it with you. Why another day? And why does European take a different point of view? If you could share that with us today. Is Christian Bottenbach still present?
I'll allow you to talk there, Christian, if you'd like to say something.
Oh, yes, thank you. I thought it might not be that important now for us together, but I can talk about it if you like. I don't know whether it's a good place to talk about it now. Would you like to hear?
I would. I think it might work in, but sure.
Okay, now I just had to change my speakers. Now I have it on my ears so I can better hear you because it's a bit noisy outside here as well. There is something that is good to know about the, I have to look up the word. I don't know the word for what is coming out of the diesel engines, the dust. How is it called?
Particulates. Particulates is one word for.
Okay, thank you. You know, we had a lot of experience with these particulates here, also because of the coal power stations and because of the Ruhrgebiet, where a lot of iron and coal mining and all this kind of stuff was going on. So it was really dark for tens of years there because the sun couldn't even shine through. And some people had to cough and so on. But it was not, it never was a real health problem. It became a health problem when they filtered out the particles from the power stations. When they did so, just the sulfur get into the air, and then the problem started. And there is a lot of this kind of things that led me to think in a different way about when they say they try to save the environment. Most of the time, there is another reason behind it. And if you look what has happened, it's not only Volkswagen. Look at the experience of Mercedes with Chrysler. Look at what happened to Telekom in Germany, to other companies like Deutsche Bank. You will always find there is a big drainage of the money from here to somewhere else in the world. And this all the time is the same. And this is what lies beyond it, because all the car manufacturers are doing stupid things, you know, because they all have to meet requirements that are political. And what is below, they, you know, they first tried to ban the diesel cars here in Germany as well. I know why I drive an old diesel car, because the other cars, the benzene cars, they have these catalyzers. I don't know how to exactly pronounce it.
Catalyzers.
Catalyzers, thank you, Sandor. And they produce a lot of nano platinum. And this causes big health problems. So they are always drawing the attention to some other point where they want it, instead of looking at what really happens. You know, when they started producing these catalyzers, then even the German minister, Zimmermann was his name, it's many years ago, he knew what was happening and he said, oh, this is another English missing word. This is well, he called it a terrible mistake to do. Yes, even worse, Sündenfall. I don't know how to say in English.
Woodfire.
It's just a terrible thing to start with it without knowing what you are doing. And this happens very often. Then if you find out about that they are trying even to let people pay for breathing air, they don't call it like this. In Germany, they call it additional tax on energy. And but it means actually that everybody who lives here and uses energy, electrical energy, has to extra pay for breathing, actually. They don't tell it openly now, but this is what they want. They want to take everything into their hands, so there's only some slaves left. So we have to work and to wish that we are working on the side of those that try to give the independence back to humans. Now this is, it has become quite a lot of different things now, but I think it's the direction and underlying that you can see, and that makes me look at it from a different point of view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christian. I understand there's a town in Germany now that's banned all diesels for the first time, and it promises to start a bit of a revolution there about that. But anyway, let's maybe carry on here. I think, Caroline, you were about to say something.
Yes. Would or does anybody have any idea what Illuminati is? I see somebody posted something about who illuminated the Illuminati, or did they just make misuse of their enlightenment? That really does not really add up, because what is enlightenment, or even their enlightenment, and why put it in the context of that they are illuminated? And what does the word, I think it should be come to a point of understanding. Can you find it on Wikipedia, Rick? The word
Yes.
Illuminati?
Carolina, I have a...
Because then puts it in a...
Carolina, I have a comment on Illuminati. You were saying...
Let's first go that we are all on the same term of how the world looks at the point Illuminati.
All right.
Before we go into opening this up, I would love to see what Wikipedia, which is for everybody accessible, what is actually, before people, you know, I do not like to throw my rockets at something I don't understand, let alone killing a fly if I don't know what a fly is.
That was a funny way.
If you can give us some insight about it, Rick.
Well, sure. I can read what Wikipedia says, which is, first of all, it mentions and this article. Pardon me? Pardon me, Caroline?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So maybe I'll just blow that up a little bit so people can see it better.
I don't want opinions about people. I want the understanding what the world view is about Illuminatis.
Yeah, let's
because
see where
Mr. Keshe touched that subject.
Where the word comes from and so on,
yep.
See what that was about. So this article is about the secret society. It does mention for the Muslim esoteric school, see illuminationism, which is a different, is an Islamic philosophy, which is a different thing altogether, as far as I know. The Illuminati, plural of Latin, illuminus, enlightened, is a name given to several groups, both real and fictitious. Historically, the name usually refers to the Bavarian Illuminati, an Enlightenment era secret society founded on the 1st of May, 1776. The society's goals were to oppose superstition, obscurantism, religious influence over public life, and abuses of state power. The order of the day, they wrote in their general statutes, is to put an end to the machinations of the purveyors of injustice, to control them without dominating them. The Illuminati, along with Freemasonry and other secret societies, were outlawed through edict by the Bavarian ruler Charles Theodore with the encouragement of the Roman Catholic Church in 1784, 85, 1787, and 1790. In the several years following, the group was vilified by conservative and religious critics who claimed that they continued underground and were responsible for the French Revolution. Many influential intellectuals and progressive politicians counted themselves as members, including Ferdinand of Brunswick and the diplomat Xavier von Zwack, who was the order's second in command. It attracted literary men such as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe and Johann Gottfried Herder and the reigning dukes of Gotha and Weimar. In subsequent use, Illuminati refers to various organizations which claim or are purported to have links to the original Bavarian Illuminati or similar secret societies, though these links are unsubstantiated. They are often alleged to conspire to control world affairs by masterminding events and planting agents in governments and corporations in order to gain political power and influence, and to establish a new world order. Central to some of the most widely known and elaborate conspiracy theories, the Illuminati have been depicted as lurking in the shadows and pulling the strings and levers of power in dozens of novels, films, television shows, comics, video games, and music videos. Then it gets into the actual history, and it mentions Adam Weishaupt was the professor at the University of Ingolstadt. And Ingolstadt, strangely enough, that was the town where the head of Volkswagen Audi lives. That's his hometown in Ingolstadt. And that's where the Illuminati began. He was a non-clerical professor at an institution run by the Jesuits, whose order had been dissolved in 1773. And it gets into some more of the history there. Do we want to get into that, Caroline, or how do you want to go with this?
The findings, let's say, you see they're finding Freemasonry to be so. What, just even that part when you read it, and then even the part underneath, where does that indicate where the origin was, where it started? It's started where? Can somebody read or find through this whole text where the origin sits?
The origin
because
is with
it says on the top, but it refers.
Whoops. It'd be with this fellow.
Which country?
Bavaria.
Which country is that?
Well, Bavaria is.
And where is Bavaria?
That's in Germany, correct? What's now Germany? Is that not right? Or is Bavaria a separate country?
There is different opinions about this in Germany.
Look.
It belongs to Bundesrepublik Deutschland.
No,
Bavaria.
no. Where is Bavaria? Austria or?
No, it is. It belongs
Germany.
to Bundesrepublik. It's around Munich, München.
But it's called the Free State of Bavaria. In the state of Germany, apparently. Officially, it's called the Free State of Bavaria. Let me see if it says something special about that. Well, it was a part of the Holy Roman Empire, but it became an independent kingdom and finally a state of the Federal Republic of Germany. The Kingdom of Bavaria existed from 1806 to 1918 when Bavaria became a republic. So it was an actual kingdom before it became a republic. Second largest economy in the German states. It's really a very wealthy region. That's what was noted about that town. It is extremely wealthy in terms of, it's also has the weapons manufacturing, and also, strangely enough, close to that town are 2 Air Force bases. One of them is for experimental and testing purposes. And the people of that town are very much tied into the flight aspect of, they've always been into flight, apparently, with, various aspects of that, which I thought was interesting as well. Let me see if we.
So if you go down.
Okay, back to this.
So they don't tell you much about it.
Well, they get into how the society started, basically. They do talk about it. From this professor, he got people together. The Jesuits of Ingolstadt retained the purse strings and some power at the university, which they continued to regard as their own. Weishaupt became deeply anti-clerical and resolved to spread the ideals of the Enlightenment through some sort of secret society of like-minded individuals. Finding Freemasonry to be expensive and not open to his ideas, he founded his own society, which was to have a gradal system based on Freemasonry, but his own agenda. His original name for the new order was Bund Perfectibilisten, or Covenant of Perfectibility, the Perfectibilists, later changing it because it sounded too strange. So there were several members, and it became bigger essentially, and it was not until April 1778 that the order became the Illuminatin order, or Order of the Illuminati. After Weishaupt had seriously contemplated the B order. So it almost became the B order, instead it became the Order of Illuminati.
So there is not much news of what is actually happening or still standing from this up till today. This is the history where it started, but it doesn't give you, and it's a word which a lot of people are bumping into, but in fact, it's just, shall we call it, a very lucrative money-making machine.
Actually, it is a secret society. So its affairs are not very
because
public.
it's publicly well known.
A lot of information.
Their affairs are everywhere, Sander.
Yeah.
I think their affairs are well in public.
Well, I mean, this is all the history about how it all came about, and gets into, it's quite a bit, because it's a couple hundred years we're talking about here, at least, from about 250 years. So
We don't need to read their handbook, but it was just to have an idea that actually it's a minglemus of lot, which came down again together. And now everybody, you know, you always have to ask the question, how can it be secret if everybody knows the name? And if it is published like this, how can it be secret? So it's because people keep on feeding the image of secrecy, or you tag an energy of image print on it that you keep it existing. It's simply a few people which, and it goes back to a few, which then have just gathered people which are in the same mindset. But it is no longer secret, and it should not be looked up or fed up on the same kind of image, because if it's well known and it's published, how can it be secret? It's all there. So I think people should reconsider what is secret. Because to me, a secret is known by one person only. The minute it's shared with somebody else, is no longer a secret. So why do we use the word secrecy? I'm pulling this on the table because a lot of people, and then I see somebody saying it's not accurate, but this is what it is. Whatever it is what people attach to it. So if we're all very normal mind and can think for ourselves, yeah, it's just a name. It's not a secret because it's in full public. We can all read about it. Whatever is made up to stick somewhere, that's why I use that very strange phrase. You know, I don't want to hit a fly when I'm having an elephant in front of me, if I don't know it's a fly. People have to not repeat chewing something that was chewed before, where it doesn't no longer, even the chewing is the same. That's my point. Reconsider, reposition yourself about why you use certain language, how you use certain words, And if you want to keep on thinking or imagining or implementing, ask yourself the same straightforward question. It's a name. The founders are there where it initially started. None of us were there when it started. So this is the only residue of where it started. If it was secret, then why are we walking with secrecy if it's public? It's in public domain. Why fantasizing about something and making it bigger by feeding it more than actually it should not? So why do we keep something alive that to all of us it's so, can you close the microphone please? Which is so appealing and which is not feeling nice. Why would we carry on feeding it? Why don't we categorize whatever it is that you are feeling and thinking and assuming? Most of it is even assuming, because I have not seen a single letter signed with the name underneath Illuminati. I have not seen any contract signed with Illuminati underneath. So, would it not be more interesting to acknowledge that this part belongs to the hyperactive children? Then they have no name. They have no longer a purpose because we don't feed the purpose anymore. But we are changing whatever was in assumption is no longer there because we have shaped it in a different shape. That's why I started today with the importance of your vision, your imprints, and to review them and reposition yourself. Are you willing to even let the words to pass over your lips to keep them in a manifestation of matter state? Or are we going to start reshaping them? Because even if you look at it, I don't think this, whatever is attached to it, should even get any food. Because I don't think whoever heard this name and with what is being attached to it should be able to be honest enough to itself to no longer dwell on something which is just a creation of an imagination and not on facts. I always say, I give it into a different way, maybe you will understand. I've been to the doctor, it's an example. They have drawn blood, I have to wait 3 days to get my blood results back. For certain blood results, maybe I have to wait a week. Maybe I did even other examinations and I have to wait 2 weeks. Now, will I go home and will I wonder and worry till the first result come in, and then till the second result come in, and then till the third result come in? I'm going to be a complete nerve wrack. So why don't I wait and say, as long as I don't know, why should I worry? Why should I even put or attach anything to something I don't know? And I mean, in the full meaning of knowledge. You know that you went to the lab to take blood. You have given the blood. You know it went in a tube and it went to the test. So as long as that paper doesn't come back in black and white with the full print of the results, then nothing is going on, huh? It's getting processed. So in this case, with this name, and the most important name which is attached to it is secrecy. Excuse me, if it's a secret, then I cannot find nothing about it. So I can't even imagine what should be there. So why should I worry about it? Why should I keep on feeding a field which I don't know nothing about? Because if I never receive my blood result or any of you with the signing of this name on it, then to me it doesn't exist. So why make it bigger than what it is in reality? If you understand that with your thinking and speaking, you are encouraging that field strength to stay in position. So if it doesn't receive no longer any food anymore, then the only thing it can do is non-existing. And even if so, and you think so, and you're very convinced it is, then why, if you know how to change, create the wish, be the wish, and then the change will walk in? What do you think, Rick?
Well, in that case, I just took down the reference that I put up because it's kind of goes against what you were saying. I had it turns out that Donald Trump's family also comes from his father or grandfather, whatever his family, came from Bavaria as well, that same area in Bavaria and in Germany, by coincidence. But I wouldn't want to feed into the various, fears and other sorts of rumors about that. So maybe we should sort of forget about the Illuminati. It seems like they're so conflicted. They're so conflicted amongst themselves. Read about it. It's a sad story of conflict and treachery amongst themselves and turning each other in, and they're in conflict with the Freemasons, they're in conflict with the Rosicrucians, and they were in conflict with the church. And it's like there's so many conspiracy groups. There's no possibility that any conspiracy group can run things because there's too many of them in conflict with each other. It's not like they all get together and agree to work things out. It's not what you do in those groups, apparently. I don't know. It seems like it's something that we can easily ignore, and it will probably just dissolve and go away. Or we can choose to put attention.
Exactly, because we have learned. Yeah,
we have
learned how to work.
We can elevate if we so choose, and that's another way to more or less get rid of the problem. Let's say if there is a problem that needs to be dealt with. So we have learned that that's a great way to address issues or beings on this planet who aren't playing nicely with the other beings. Just elevate them. It seems to solve the problem.
And it works so fast. Has anybody noticed any more positive news on the other side? Not only Europe or America, and Yemen, but where do and what have we noticed that has changed? Because you've all been part of the so many different wishes. Or do you have any questions for Mr. Keshe?
Don't pull me in.
Oh, I will pull you in, Mr. Keshe. Can you near me? Anybody, any questions? We are lucky today he's around. He's smiling.
Fantastic. No question. Yes.
Wow, it stays quiet. He says, thank you. Anybody, any questions for Mr. Keshe?
I just want to say thank you. I'm grateful and I love you.
We love you all, he says. Oh, Mehran, would you please be kind enough to give some... Can you give us some more information about the agriculture or plant world?
Oh, that'll be on a Thursday teaching.
Oh, come on.
No. That'll be on Thursday. Not this week. On Thursday.
So Thursday, you got your present, Rick. He's not going to be sharing it today.
Okay, fair enough. Perhaps there's...
That's a teaching. That's a... Yeah.
Perhaps there's something else that Mr. Keshe would like to discuss. Maybe he could enlighten us about the Illuminati, the so-called enlightened ones. And maybe he has some additional information he'd like to impart on that or some other topic.
They don't exist.
They don't exist. Exactly. That's where my question was. He says they don't exist. What do you want to talk about?
It's gone. Consider it gone. I didn't even bring it up.
Yeah.
When I was a very young boy, when I was a very young boy, a very, very young boy, and I just got into the world of business. I became very successful very young age. Somebody told me, a bank manager, I want to take you somewhere special, will take you to a lot of places. And I was very excited. I'm going to something special, you know, being a boy just about 23, 24, being a very rich, made it in the world of business in a short time. So I was taken to a special restaurant on the top of a tower in the center of Manchester. And at that time, I wasn't in this world of these things. It just, to me, was another part of life. And I noticed something very strange. There is no sign anywhere to say there is a restaurant here, but it was full. And I know that part, which is just about maybe a couple of 100 meters from my office. And I noticed something very strange. These people shake hands different. And these people have a different way of talking that I knew in the world of business. And I was invited for a second time, but somehow it looks like I never understood the culture and everything else. Then I was told, later on, I found out this is where the Masons meet. There was a Masons, like a meeting point. And I got to know a number of these people in the world of business. I realized one thing is they're ordinary people, they're fathers and mothers and what they call it, brothers or whatever, because later on, some of them became part of, the hierarchy of the society in Manchester. And the strangest thing is how they looked after each other. How you could see big businesses, big deals disappears in their hand. Look at that one, it's chasing that. So it looks like what we look from outside. A group of people have a common interest, but at the end of the day, they're all the same, they're fathers and mothers. Just 1 second, please. And then this came to me all the time. These people are ordinary people. But collectively, through their financial means and contacts, they have found the strength. And some of them individually, by associating themselves to these groups, have found the same thing. And this is the pattern they have created for themselves. And in so many ways, what we feel, what we think, what we do is what we associate ourselves with. On Saturday, I was in a meeting, very strange meeting, with a man, very nationalistic, very proud to be supporter of his nation, a weapon developer at the highest level. You and I, some of us cannot even imagine this kind of what they call weaponry exists. He is he's not a follower of the foundation, but he is on the fringe of it because he uses the knowledge. He's trying to use the knowledge. And I saw the change in a man sitting across the table. I was talking to him literally 10 minutes before I come here. I met him twice before, and what he said to me was very strange. He said, I'm developing these weapons to protect my nation from the hand of this and that, and they are doing so much killing and doing this, and I need to do it. And as he was talking to me, his gorgeous son, he's only 10, and his wife walked into the meeting room. They just came into the office and walked to his office. And as he was explaining to me this, how important it is for him to be protecting his nation and stop the wars. And the child walks in. I know the family, we met before. So the son came in to say hello. And as I kissed him hello and talked to the wife, kissing the wife, hello, coming in, I said to him something which I'd never seen a man changing so fast. I said, have you listened to my teaching? He said, no. I said to him, listen to part of my teaching, go and find it. I said, you are proud, you are in defense of military development. I said, the system you developed today or you developed last year or whatever, if that kills a soldier in Syria, because you have developed, you become part of the murder line. He looked at me in a strange way. I said, the man which your technology killed today or next week is a father, is a son to someone. I said, would you like your son, you've been waiting for him to come from the English classes for us to meet, never turn up and you lose him? He said, no. I said, would you like if the son is here and he never come home and he has no father? He said, no. I said, this is what you've done to the man there. He's got a father and a brother. He looked at me, he started crying, and he said, I'm destroying my mobile phone. I never touch again. He said, it's finished. From today, I do not develop anything. He said, I understood for the first time. And I said, whatever you need, the foundation will provide you. Don't use my technology to kill. Don't use my technology to harm. With the knowledge you have, use my technology to evolve the army and the armed forces to look at the different way of protecting, not by killing, by becoming more powerful that you don't need to kill. And he literally said, I'm destroying my mobile phone today. I don't want to have it because this when this telephone rings is what I have to do, and I've done. No more, finished. If we let people feel what it means, they change their way, it doesn't matter what it is. To him was important that his son will never see him, or for him, he'll never see his son. He felt it inside because then he knew he's murdered many without him knowing. And this was beyond him as a father. We got to let people feel. We got to people get in touch with their own inner feeling, inner soul. We don't need to do much more. We literally don't need to do much more. And this is what we have forgotten in our work, in our frame of work. We have forgotten inside us there is a soul, and we got to become in touch with it. And the rest is done. And sometimes we are the tools to get people to become in touch with their own souls, with their own being, with their own action. And so if somebody can tell these people, whatever name you put on them, Illuminatis, Masons or whatever, what the action is and what does and what effect is to them and their loved ones, I think people will start changing. Now we're seeing it. It was 4 of us around the table, and it was shocking how they understood. He understood, and I had a high-ranking general with me a couple of hours later, and I saw him to go through the same transition. One, I met the guy who makes the weapon, and one, I met the guy who actually orders the use of them. And they're all fathers, they're all children to other fathers or mothers, and to them is important. And when it hits home, they change. So somewhere down the line, somebody has to let these people know what they do is to them. The guy who says the world population has to be controlled to 500 million or whatever that we can feed, it's very simple. Explain to him, let's start with your children. Let's eliminate your children, your parents and your father. They're part of the extra 500 million. They are not special, are they? Then you will see what the answer is. Let's start with you, Mr. Gate, who speaks controlling population. Let's look with his children, with his wife, with his family. There are numbers like everybody else. These people has to hit home and they understand, because in some of the writings of President Obama, in the private letters to me, I explained to him in a very, very direct way. And he understood he's nobody special. The feeling human get to find out who they are is how they feel who they are, now how they see themselves who they are. And it's a big, big, big difference. Big difference. And how they influence other people, how they touch other people. I've seen this, how presence of powerful people changes the people around them. And if it's the positive way or negative way. I remember as a child, my father had a position, and I could say the days we used to happen on some regular, frequent basis, I knew when he was in the presence of the Shah of Iran. Whenever he was in presence of the Shah for certain things, when he came home, he was a different man. And the first times I couldn't understand. I had a different father at home. But because he was on a regular, what you call, on a few times a year in the presence of Shah for different reasons, I could say I could pick the feeling that that day he was in the palace, or he met the Shah somewhere in his work. And then I realized people affect other people. People can create influence on people. And one day when I was maybe 8, 10 years old, I said to him, "Have you seen the Shah today?" He looked at me with a very strange look. He said, "Why are you asking that question?" I said, "I think you've been somewhere near there." We have many pictures of him with the ex-Shah of Iran. Many, many pictures. And then I noticed later on the pictures appeared because it was part of his work. So we influence, we touch, and who we touch and how we let them to feel, how they touch the others affects how we change positions and how they affect other people in respect to what they do. And we need to do it. We need to understand that it's not for them to feel, it's for us to give them the feeling what it means. And this is part of what we see, what we are, who we are, and the way we are. Maybe we can change, maybe we can't change, maybe we are not aware of, and we see the people who become demolished or diminished in their power, they try to go to the next step. And we've seen it in past 24 hours, 48 hours with the American president. As we said, he lost everything that America was a superpower on this planet with meeting, and he was literally told that said, you will go and see your biggest enemy and you have to go, not him to come to you. And we seen the summit last week. Now he claims now he's taking the army into the space because maybe there will be something more powerful that nobody else can do. But even in that position, Iranian space agency is far ahead of the Americans. So he's got no power to go to. We call it rhetoric. And now we see Chinese space technology far precedes any American process. It's just become a dust in the bin. So as they lose, now he's going to police the space. The space doesn't need policing, as we all know. And this is a shame to see a nation being pulled into what I call such a dirt track. The reason of this new speech yesterday that America is going to have a space force is because they have no more space. They have no forces on this planet. It's finished. It's gone. We've seen the end of the United States as a world power in so many ways. And very soon, with what has been developed by the Keshe Foundation, nuclear weapons are totally obsolete. What used to cost billions of dollars to produce most advanced weapon technology in nuclear industry, I have brought it to dust in past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The biggest fear of military forces has been hydrogen bomb and the neutron bombs, and cost billions. We can produce neutron plasma systems at the cost of few dollars. Billions of times more powerful than present hydrogen nuclear bombs if you know what to do with it, which I do. As I said I wrote very past few hours to world leaders that an Iranian scientist has changed the course of the military. Let's talk war, let's meet for peace. Because we know what we have, we know what we developed. A lot of you don't understand 99% of the teaching because you're not in that level. It's not that you don't understand, you're not in that level to understand the implication of some of teachings. 80% of my teachings on Thursdays is directed to the government world leaders when I teach specific subjects. They understand the next step. And if you listen into the teaching of past few weeks, I have unraveled one of the most powerful weapon technologies in deep space, but nobody can understand it. In deep space, we don't destroy. We need a power of transportation, transmutation of the energy at the speeds beyond the speed of light, that we don't get to the wall, we don't get to the meteorite that is on our course, that we're going to hit it. We create a condition that it creates not damaging, but the openness at the level we are, that when we go through it behind us, the thing still exists. In a coming teaching, in a future teaching, those of the scientific understanding of the foundation will realize is we can. You see the picture of the earth? It has a matter level, it has a strength level. In the coming teachings, I can teach you how you can go right through it. And you come out the other side without harming anything. The whatever diameter of this planet is nothing. If you understand the technology, going through a matter of energy, you can go through, and still when you come out of the other side, you don't make a hole through the planet. You leave it behind as it is because you understand, you travel within the strength, within the structure of it. It's like what we call it, the lights which go through the planet and trying to catch it somewhere with the water. This is the reality of the next step in technology development. You cannot zigzag keep on going around at the speeds of light and above, around every star and every planet. You have to step up next step. So if we have that knowledge, and which I have, and I know exactly what to do with it, do you think that present nuclear weapons have any value? Nothing. But we have to let the world leaders know you have no power. Disarmament of thoughts and emotion with the world leaders is 1,000,000 times more powerful than the buttons they carry. They think they have a nuclear bomb button in their hand. The technology development in the next few months, now that we're going to the space level, compared to the present defense technology, is nothing. It's when I listen to some of the world leaders, what they talk about, to me, it's just that they don't even play with the dust, let alone with the toy. They have no clue how advanced world universal technology is. And we can obsolete totally all the weapon technology of today. It takes me few hours. Even the ones which are hidden in silos on the concrete levels, meters below the ground, or in the submarines in the bottom of the oceans. We start showing the power of the technology in a massive way, but in a positive way, that you don't want to have the obsolete. One of our biggest problem, which is now under consideration, is how to remove all the nuclear warheads out of this planet. It's under discussion. I can read you the text gone to world leaders in past few hours. We have called for a meeting of the world leaders for total disarmament, nuclear disarmament, because with the technology we can show, they're useless. They have no meaning. It's just trying to get them out before they create any damage. That's all it is. It's back into, those of you who are old enough, into 1990s, when the Americans and the Russians started negotiating disarmament of nuclear warheads. I have started a procedure of total nuclear disarmament because we can show it is, the power is beyond imagination. And it's not done to harm anybody here. It's developed for the deep space that you have a clear path of passage. So when you talk about the Illuminatis, when you talk about these groups, especially those who are producing all these vaccines to control people, let's give an injection to your own child. And none of them have vaccinated their own children. They're very clever, it's good for the others. I'll leave it with you. But this is what is about to happen. This is what is about to come. And a lot of people don't like these changes of courses because they lose their power. And there are a number of changes which come out of the foundation and work of the foundation in the coming weeks and months, which will change. And in a way, because we wished it, now the tools for it is becoming forward. And it's done by men of peace, a lot of people who even will change towards it. But the funniest thing is, it seems people have not understood that there is no army in the space. But just because you lost, you don't need to do it. I put a proposition years ago to NASA, and again we renew it today, and we renew it again on Thursday. There is a reason for it. I don't believe, unless I can be shown. You see, they tell me whenever I say something, I say, show me. They tell me to show us to believe you. And this is, you have credibility when you can show it. I put a question of credibility to the American president and the American people all together. You have no credibility, and it's absolutely zero. We call you liars unless you can show us this is how you treat all the work of the foundation. You say you've been to the moon, and there are all these telescopes and all these huge machines which goes into the depth of the universe. Show me American flag flying on the moon. Then the American president says, we go back to the moon. You've never been there to go back to it. If you have, if you've done all this sophisticated machinery for 50 years we developed, we can see the deepest part of the universe. Show me a tiny little flag flying on the moon. It says United States flag on it. My belief is they've never been, unless they can show us. If this applies to us, should apply to the Americans the same. If every time we develop technologies, show us, and then they block us to do it, they say they've been to the moon, no question asked, but you have no credibility, zero. Show us with the most advanced telescopes you have the footsteps of Mr. Armstrong or the American flag. It shouldn't be that hard. They show us every hole and cranny and the little ditches on the moon and the Mars. They know where they landed so many flights. Show us the flag. Then you can go back. You've never been, you can't go back. I don't think it'll be that hard. If they could map it from the Earth and land it on the moon, exactly on the spot they mapped it, so they should be able to map it. They had a GPS 50 years ago on the moon, so they should be able to show us. Otherwise, they've never been on the moon. And I say it's a lie. As one of the leading space scientists, they have to show us. Then they can go back to the moon. And if they cannot show, they've never been. Indians have been to the moon, Chinese go to the moon. They say they landed. They put their flags, we watched it, show us the picture from there so that we can go and see all of it. Put it on the internet. We showed 129, we put it on the internet. People could come and do whatever they like with it. Fake claim to power has no room. And we have to stop this claim that we're going to create a sixth power. We didn't have the first one to start with, let alone the sixth one. So my challenge to the American Space Agency and the government is, you say to the moon, you want to open a space forces in the moon and the space, which is against the law of international universal law. So two things. Show us you've been to the moon first, that we can believe you, then we can give you the space. But the space technology at the moment, the way it's claimed by the United States government is in the hand of Iran. And soon it'll be in the hand of Chinese government. So we would like to see, stop bluffing. You say you've been, the challenge is show us the flag or your flag now. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And we still have a very quiet audience here with no hands popping up.
It's very unusual. It's very unusual today. But I think we are in our 4-hour mark. We're getting into our 4-hour mark, and I think it will be a nice closing of this session. What do you think, Rick and Vince and Flint and whoever is supporting in the background, the whole team?
It's 3 hours, actually.
Actually, but that's okay. It is probably could be a good time to wrap things up here. Is that what you'd like to do, Caroline?
Mr. Keshe says if there are any questions, they can still be asked. They can be answered. Oh, no.
No. That was Caroline's.
No. You didn't hear the back. He says to me, any questions they can still ask. So I passed the question on to you, and then he says, what did you say?
Not for me, for you to answer.
For me to answer, not for him to answer.
Well, we have Mehran. Allow her to talk. Oh, we have to promote the panelists apparently, so that's going on. Okay, she should be coming through here. What happened?
I do apologize. On my watch, it looks 8, but it's actually 7. So that's where my confusion came from.
Okay, when Mehran came through as a panelist, somehow she doesn't have a microphone. So I think you're going to have to restart your Zoom or select your microphone in the Zoom settings. And you may have to update your Zoom as well. You have the older software, Mehran. Try some or all of the above and see if you can get your microphone to work as a panelist. Okay, anybody else with a question of the day here? Looking at the chat.
It's very quiet today.
Ursula says, we are in one-time communication, going through a beautiful jet lag sometimes, preparing us to one planet. That's a good way to look at it. So we can justify the dead air time, I suppose, in that way. And she also says, gratitude for all given that we can share to all our fellow friends.
Hi,
We
everyone.
went through a lot of topics, so yeah, somebody there?
Hi, Ursula, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to share also that we are sharing with Spanish, resuming this world peace meeting, and so that those who don't understand English have some informations and can participate, even hearing, as I suggest them, because the voice is very important, and then reading some information on the page, official page, Spanish. And we will treat this on Wednesday in our Knowledge Seeker workshop. Spanish are going very well. Thank you so much, because this gives us tools to share and to thrive together. I'm so happy. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, Rick, we're gonna go quiet out?
Well, as Katja says in the chat, a wonderful view to let us see the truth and to step into our power to change. Thank you so much. And Jalal says, does Mr. Keshe have a question?
He says no.
Okay.
Question God, he hasn't answered back to you.
He says, I have questioned God and he hasn't answered me back yet, so I'm still waiting. You heard me?
Yeah, I think I heard an echo somewhere, so to speak.
He says.
No, we got
said,
it. Yeah, we got it. I was just kidding that listening to God.
Because I don't know, sometimes I might have fallen out.
Yeah, I know.
so I didn't know if you heard me or you didn't hear me. We're in a very cheerful mode because you see the changes, you see the knowledge seekers working. They're really posting everywhere, fantastic work. It has to be said, gratitude to all of you knowledge seekers. You are working, you are developing, and you're supporting one another. Nobody is left behind. The one who puts the hand out, who needs some help, he receives it very fast. And I keep on reminding, if you got questions, just ask in a very nice way, put them on Facebook, and you will see how many knowledge seekers will jump up on you. We had a few nasty ones in the last few weeks, but that's okay. They can be there too.
And we had a really nice story occur recently, and I'll have to get permission that we can show it maybe in the Thursday workshop. But briefly, it's got to do with some school kids that are in grade 9 that got together and made a gravitational magnetical battery experiment, and won their video portion of the competition that they're in with 49 other students. And so they got the top prize, I guess you would say, in the video part. And it was part of the Romanian group and Romanian kids and so on. Different schools participated in this science competition. And sure enough, one of the kids groups, there's 3 of them that got together to do this little video and so on, and they won the first prize. So that's a nice good news story that's occurred out in the world, and I'm hoping that more children will be participating, and it's actually an area that we need to focus on more to educate the children. They're the ones that will be bringing in the new technology, and they need to know what's up, basically. And so there's a big opportunity there for people to engage with local schools and various organizations in order to promote this, the plasma technology and the knowledge that's behind it. It's going to be very quickly changing our society, so we need to prepare people. And the best way to prepare people is to prepare their children, because they're the ones that are going to be educating the adults.
If there could be a subtitling, because most probably if it's done in Romania, it's not been done in English, it would be nice to give the time to the transcribers or translators to subtitle it or translate it, that we can enjoy this work of the children.
I think it's in, with English, it's got English words on it and so on. And it's mostly just music, images, and the English words. But it's got some images of the teenage children and so on. And I know we sort of have a policy in the Keshe Foundation not to show images of children and so on. So we have to get that cleared first before that happens. But also I understand that they're working on a plasma scientific journal entry with this experiment. So it's supposed to be ready for tomorrow, and hopefully for the workshop we'll have what might be one of the first plasma journal entries could be from children. That would be kind of nice, I think.
Something else, Rick. Maybe you can talk to Flint or to the team that they can blur the faces of the children. then
well, it's
the
their
problem
video.
is solved.
It's their video on YouTube, and I don't really want to blur their faces. They might take offense to that or something, because they've already gone public with themselves. And
Yeah, but if there is music on it, we have a second problem. So you have to have to mute the music parts as well.
Well, we might have to just show the Plasma Scientific Journal entry, the actual formatting in that way, and just give a link to the video, or we can play it maybe without the music if we get permission. So we'll work that out.
Yeah, I give it into your teams. You know what can and what cannot be done. That would be great.
We might have to have Mr. Keshe have a look at it actually to okay it, and maybe he can. I'll send the link to him. Maybe he can find the time to have a look at it. I'll send the link to you too. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Send it to me too.
All right.
If you share it with me too, then I can have him reminding to have a look or what could, or then we can make decisions upon it.
Okay, that'll be great. Well, I still don't see any.
Who put your attention to it?
Barbu Constantin from Romania group, I believe.
Okay.
I'll send you the link.
We're gonna have a look at it.
Yep. Anything else we should address here before we have some ending videos to go out with? Going once, going twice. I think we're done for today, Caroline. What do you think?
Yep, I think so too. It's been too quiet today, but anyway, whoever participates is there with their soul.
Yes, and some important information.
That doesn't mean that we have to hear them. We know they are there.
Exactly. All right. Well, that wraps it up for today's 43rd One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace for Tuesday, June 19th, 2018. And thank you, I was going to say everybody for participating, but we didn't get many participators today. Thank you, both of you, for participating today. Everyone participated, actually, so thanks to everyone. And thank you, Vince, for taking us out with some videos to end the show.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
The process of understanding is very simple. The process is, as I explained last time, I explained more in detail. We are created out of the rays within the center of the universe. Interaction and reduction in strength and division by the strength in certain strength fields, in collection of the totality of the expansion of the universe, some energies, some dynamic fields have come together. Over billions of years, these fields lead to the creation of what we call the sun. Where the plasma gathers together. The same process repeats again because the sun is the same as the energy center of the universe. Now, the heavier, the larger amount of the energy which is collected in this span of the universe, we call the sun, that irradiates out, does the same thing again. Radiates its fields out, and in interaction with itself, with the fields of itself, leads to creation of planet. In that process of the creation of planet, the same process happens again. In the interaction of the fields of the earth with its environment and cooling and exchange with the strength of the other things in the environment of the space of the solar system, leads to creation of man, cell, matter state. And that itself, in coming together and slowing down in certain ways, as we call, leads to another sun. We call the soul of the man. This is the truth about the life and creation of the man. if the soul of the man can understand and absorb and be correct with his conduct, he can become the strength of the fields and carry the strength of the field of the planet which came to this creation. And if the soul can understand with the same process, can interact, can be correct, can absorb with itself the totality of the strength of what it needs, he shall become the sun. And then the same soul has the energy that it can absorb within the solar system, within the galaxy, shall become the center of the universe. Earth, we call it the rain, come from and goes back to. In the solar system, we call it planetary system. We come from the rays, we become the planet, and we go back to the mother. The same thing happens with the galaxies, with the solar systems, which they get absorbed back in and they chewed up back into the universe. The life, the process of existence in the universe is the same. It doesn't matter on what exchange and what extent. So, what is the man fighting for? Why do we fight for something which has come from the point of the creation, and in the process it goes back to the creation? The soul of the man as the energy of the earth gives the face of the man, the face of the earth, and that process is the same for the soul of the man. Our soul, in reduction in strength, in interaction with the emotion of the field of the environment, leads to manifestation of the existence of the man. But once it's completed, does it need the face? Or can it be and becomes free from it, what we call the soul of the man, to be free and detached from its existence? Our soul is part of the process of the creation. The key to one question who man shall be in the future to be answered. As we saw, the sun became the earth, and as we saw, the earth became man's soul. What would be the destiny of the soul of the man now becomes free at the point of departure from physicality. Would it become the sun for creation of another life, or many lives, or correction of lives? This shall be, and this is how it happens. When you create a soul which is not correct, which is misconduct by itself, cannot give, you lead to the creation of this next cycle of creation, which has started the wrong way, the wrong strength. This is one thing the man has never understood. You become the creator of another universe, another cycle. This is what you have to judge within the structure of the soul of the man. What would I like that cycle to be? In the physical life, we create children. in the dimension of the life, of the soul of the man, what that soul will create. If man has thought up to now, that's it, my end, my point, when I die is finished, there's as much fallacy that when the sun is destroyed in any shape or form, there shall be nothing left. But we know the part of the sun becomes part of the galaxy and becomes part of new life. So shall be the soul of the man. The judgment of the man has to be according to what he sees the future his soul can conduct to be. The day of judgment is for the man, not in front of the Creator. That what my soul judges to be and what shall create. Man never understood and shall never understand till can solve this dilemma within itself. The reality is very, very, very real. And that is, as we've seen, the energy of the galaxy become the sun, the energy of the sun has become the earth, and the energy of the earth has become the soul of the man. So shall be the soul of the man, which is the energy itself, another cycle of life. How can you change when you don't understand? How can you change the process of understanding if you do not understand the process of the creation? Do we need to extend the understanding of the man that what is the future he brings? We care about our children, what education they get, what they wear, how happy they'll be, where they sleep. Now the man has to be careful and consider, what life shall my soul create? Because those are the children of your soul. As we see, the rays of the sun has become a planet and 7 billion children of it. 7 billion unlimited, which is growing. So the soul of the man will go through the same process. How many billions and subdivisions and sub-matter state of the physicality of the man your soul shall create? Would it be the soul of wars and conflict and forever killing? Or would it be the soul of this, let's say, solar system which is peaceful? This is the truth and the reality about the soul of the man. First of all, as I said many times recently, we never understood that the soul of the man is within the structure of the man. And now that we understood, we understand on departure from the physicality of the man, the same process will carry on as it did for a star, a planet. And the soul of the man becomes another energy source, a higher order, which itself leads to the creation. It becomes the star, it becomes the center of the new cycle of creation. This is what the human race has to understand. The cycle actually starts at the point of death and not finishes at the point of death. In so many ways, if one understands, is as the specks of dust came together to make the earth in the solar system, so has the specks of the atoms has come to be the creator of the man. And the essence of the creation of the specks of dust on the solar system has led to the creation of the man. So shall be the fields from the soul of the man which lead to creation of another cycle of life. What kind of life man would like to have to be created by his soul? This is the day of judgment. This is what man never understood. Now you have to understand. you have no choice. Up to today, you were not aware of it. From today, you are aware of it. You are responsible for it. Your conduct has to be to elevate your soul. That in elevating the soul, what you become the creator of stands correct in the conduct of the citizens. We don't give fairy tale. This is the truth. But as you've seen, the process does not stop with one sun. The cycle carries on. It's very interesting in how humanity now knows in fact to handle the fact. It'll take decades for man to understand, and then you understand those who become the tools of war, the tools of conflict. They have less, they have nothing to start with. They have to become the dust in the solar systems of the others till the day they learn more, as they cannot create a new cycle through their own soul. This is the elevation of the soul of the man, to be part of the creation of a beautiful life for the next cycle. When you don't have it, you have to become another cell in the body of the structure of the bigger, for you to be just there that you can done when you could have been the soul of the man. They say, do not create fear. I give you the point of love for creation. If you cared about your children on this planet to have the best, your true children come out of your own soul in the coming time. How would you like to educate them? How would you like to be when you are in conflict with yourself and the cause of so much mayhem? This is the truth, and the man will take a long time to understand, as now that we understand the soul of the man is the operator for the creation of the future extent of the life of the man. Whatever is gathered by the soul at the end becomes his point of reference of his own creation of his own dimension. But the strangest thing is, what he creates from his soul shall become the creator of the other souls. This is the beauty about the creation, and one understands it, understands no limitation.